Hello. So as you can see, I'm still not home, and in fact some of you might even recognise that I'm on the island of Ski Ross teaching comedy workshops for Ski Ross holidays, and I know some of you I met on these holidays and some of you have come and taken these holidays and done these workshops with me. I wanted to talk this week to the many of my regular viewers who are, of course, Conservative Party members. And you might be very confused about which candidate to vote for in the leadership race. So what I've done, to save you a lot of effort, I've been through their websites and I've noted down their pledges and their manifesto points and the things that they are saying they want to achieve. And I just thought I'd run through them for you so that you know what the difference between the candidates is. We'll start with Rishi Sunak. His website, ready for the digit rishi.com, because there's nothing that Conservative Party members enjoy more than text speak. I believe that's been verified. His website, which is a single page, doesn't have any policies on it whatsoever, but it does sort of rather blandly say he wants to restore trust. Which is weird, isn't it? Because you would think that would be done by being trustworthy. But that's not something that they seem to have thought of in the Conservative Party. He wants to rebuild the economy, which is weird because they've been in power for a really long time. And he's been the Chancellor of the Exchequer. If it needs rebuilding, like, why did you screw it up? And he wants to reunite the country, which I think is just a fancy way of saying he wants everyone to agree with him. But those are nonetheless his bizarre, nonsensical ideas. Penny Mordaunt doesn't have a website for her campaign. She just has her regular website, and there's absolutely no information on it about what she would do with the leadership if she got it. There is, however, a TED talk she's given entitled How to Win Wars and Influence People. Hilarious. Liz Truss, again, doesn't have a specific website for her campaign, and her normal website hasn't been updated since October of last year, when she added some photos of her visiting a nature reserve in a blue coat. So maybe that's your thing. Blue coats, nature reserves? Maybe that does it for you. Kemi Badenoch also doesn't have a website, and the last update on her own website, like she doesn't have a leadership website, the last update on her own website is called monthly column : May. So evidently June and July just not happening for Kemi. And then Tom Tugendhat, the final candidate, he does have a campaign website. There's no policies at all on it. It's only one page. Mostly it's just asking for your email so that you can support him. But it contains this remarkable sentence. It's time for a new generation, untainted by the past, to deliver for the British people. What does this mean? Untainted by the past. It means, okay, we were awful in the past, which is fair, we were. But this new generation, they don't need to worry about that. They're not benefiting from the aftermath of colonialism. They're not benefiting from entrenched racism or inequality in our society. No. It's all over. Like, it's bizarre. What is even more bizarre, though, is the things that they haven't talked about. So there's the small issue of what's going on in Ukraine and what's going on in the Yemen and what's going on in Syria and what's going on in Afghanistan and what's going on in Ethiopia and Eritrea, what's going on in Western Africa, what's going on in Palestine, what's going on in Kurdistan, what's going on in Afghanistan. There's probably some more. Oh, Myanmar, Somaliland. Yeah, there's a lot of those places. I'll just, it's a broad topic. I'll just sort of gather those dozens of issues under the broad heading, let's say, war. Then, of course, there's the cost of living scandal and the fuel crisis. There's the fact that around the world there are food shortages caused by conflicts. There's the problems we've got here as a result of Brexit. There's also all sorts of places around the world where crops are failing as a result of the climate disaster. And, of course, in the UK, we've got queues forming outside food banks and all that kind of stuff. So I just sort of group all of those things, a lot of slightly disparate things, but we'll group those together under the heading famine. Shall we? Then, of course, there's COVID, which continues to be a global problem, along with lots of other enormous health problems that exist around the world, affecting millions and millions of people's lives. With COVID in particular, there's a lack of vaccines for people around the world in various different underprivileged environments and communities. There's also the issue that the vaccines are not really being updated to deal with new variants, and that new variants continue to emerge. And, of course, there's the issue of vaccine uptake, people refusing to take the vaccine. And then there's long COVID and the implications of that, and and the impact of COVID on our health service, and the fact that our health service is anyway being brought to its knees by the government's refusal to fund it properly or to recruit the staff that it so desperately needs. And they're currently taking away one of the routes into nursing, the BTEC route, and telling people to rely on the T-level route, which means that lots of people from less privileged backgrounds won't be able to get into nursing anymore, just at a time when we need loads and loads more nurses, and of course nurses from around the EU are no longer able to come and work in the UK. So I just sort of group all of those things together under the sort of general, it's a sort of illness issue, isn't it? So we'll call it pestilence, shall we? And then there's, of course, the global environmental Armageddon that we're marching boldly towards without any real thought about what's going on, and the fact that the entire planet is basically facing a huge extinction event within the next couple of generations, and life on Earth may no longer be possible within 1 or 2 lifetimes, possibly even less than that, unless dramatic and drastic action is taken. So I guess I'll call that death. So yeah, there's these 4 issues: war, famine, pestilence and death. And it would seem like it wouldn't be such a bad idea if 1 or 2 of the candidates would, have a policy on the subject, or even just an opinion. But in the meantime, I guess you can vote for them based on restore trust and don't be tainted by the past. If you are a Tory party member, the best thing to do to vote is to just write a letter saying you don't want to be a Tory party member anymore. You'll feel so much better about it. See you next week.